Hello everyone, welcome to PW Gulf. So today is the time for recap session of the chapter Circular Motion. We have done a recap videos of the previous chapters. Now it's turn for circular motion. Okay, so in circular motion we'll be covering today what is circular motion and its types like uniform circular motion, non-uniform circular motion, uniformly accelerated circular motion. Then we'll be doing what is angular displacement, parameters of circular motion. Angular displacement, its angular velocity, angular acceleration, then relation between angular and linear parameters. Okay, relation between angular velocity and linear velocity, relation between angular acceleration and linear acceleration. Then we'll be doing tangential and centripetal acceleration, what are the two components of linear acceleration, and then we'll be going on to vertical circular motion. Okay, so these are the topics we'll be covering today in our recap session. So let's start our session with full energy and we will keep this energy till the end. Okay, so what is circular motion? What is circular motion? So circle is a figure with a constant distance if we join all the particles. Okay, so if we join all the particles or all the points, if I have a point, let us say this point O, and I join all the points which are at a fixed distance r from this point. Okay, I join all the points which are at a fixed distance r from this point, then the points will form together a path which is called a circular. So this is a circular of constant radius r. Now what is circular motion? When a particle is moving on a circular path. Okay, we have done linear motion when particle is moving in a straight line. So when an object or a particle is moving in a circular path, it is called circular motion. Suppose you are riding a bicycle in a circular track. Okay, your park in the park, the path is a circular. Okay, an athlete competing for a race on a circular track, all such motions are a circular motion. So there is a naughty boy like you, he has tied a ball with a string and is moving the ball in a circle like this with the help of a string. The path of the ball is a circle having how much radius? Having radius equal to the length of this string, having radius equal to the length of this string. So such a motion is called circular motion. Okay, such a motion is called circular motion. Now how we define velocity? Suppose I have a particle moving in a circle of radius r. Okay, so velocity is tangent to the path. At this point this will be my velocity vector, at this point this will be my velocity vector, similarly like this. So at every point velocity is along the tangent to the path, velocity is along the tangent to the path, tangent to the path. Now is my circular motion an accelerated motion or not? See, velocity is changing its direction at every point. So whether if the magnitude is changing or not changing, circular motion will always be an accelerated type of motion. Why? Because direction of velocity is changing. So velocity is a vector, either its magnitude is changing or direction is changing, the motion will be accelerated only. Okay, so we have accelerated motion. Okay, circular motion is an accelerated motion. There will be an acceleration which is responsible for changing the direction of the motion as well as its speed. If it is changing, even if it is moving with constant speed, the direction is changing, so v is changing. If v is changing, we have acceleration. So what is circular motion? When path is circular. Okay, when a particle is moving on a circular path, such a motion is called circular motion. Now let us do the parameters. First comes the angular displacement. Okay, angular displacement. Now when we were having linear displacement, change in the position was called linear displacement. Okay, Now we are having a circular path. Okay, now we are having a circular path. So particle was initially at position A, and now the particle has moved to position B. Okay, particle was initially at position A, now the particle has moved to position B. So what will be my change in position? So if I see, this will be my position vector. How we define the position of an particle in circular motion? By position vector. What is position vector? Here radius vector is my position vector. Okay, radius vector will be my position vector, which will define the position of every object, okay, of the particle moving in the circle. So when we are describing the position, so from OA, this will be a position. Now the position has changed to OB. So the change in position, what has happened? Magnitude of R is not changing. R is rotating. Position vector is rotating. In a circular motion, the magnitude of the position vector is not changing. When it is moving on a circular path, what is happening? The position vector is changing. Okay, the position vector is changing. The magnitude is not changing. It is at the same distance from the center. So what is happening? Position vector is rotating. Direction is changing. So if in time, some dt time or delta t time, the particle's position has changed by some angle delta theta, then this change in the position, angular position, okay, this change in the angular position or the angle swept by the radius vector is called angular position. Okay, so let us take it as, if this is my d theta and this arc length, okay, and this arc length is ds, okay, arc length is ds. So angular displacement is defined as the angle through which the point or line has been rotated in a specified sense about a specified axis. So this r vector is rotating about this axis, okay, so it is angular displacement. Okay, angular displacement is denoted by theta. Now we know that angle is equal to arc by radius. Angle is equal to arc by radius. So what we will have? We will have is d theta will be equal to ds by r. Okay, d theta will be equal to ds by r, and if we have large angle, theta will be equal to L by R. Okay, if we have large angle, then we can also write as theta is equal to L by R. This is also fine. Okay, now see, this is my d theta, small angular displacement done in moving by small amount ds along the length of the circular path. Now what is its SI unit? SI unit, it will be radians. Okay, SI unit will be radians, and if I write dimensions of angular displacement, dimensions of angular displacement is 0. Radians have no dimensions. Okay, it is length by length, so no dimensions. It is a dimensionless, but the SI unit is radian. Now let us see whether it is a scalar or a vector quantity. Okay, let us see whether it is a scalar or vector quantity. So small angular displacement is a vector quantity. Okay, small angular displacement is a vector quantity. Small angular displacement is a vector quantity. We know that vector algebra, vector addition obeys commutation. So rotate any plane by some angle d theta 1, then rotate it by d theta 2. Now do the opposite, rotate it by d theta 2, then rotate it by d theta 1. It will be in the same position. Okay, so what we have is, it will obey commutation. Okay, if you do d theta 1 plus d theta 2, this will be equal to d theta 2 plus d theta 1. Okay, if you are doing small angular displacement like this first, then this, okay, then do the opposite, do this first, then do this, okay, what you will arrive, you will arrive in the same position, okay. Do d theta 1, d theta 2. Now do d theta 2, d theta 1. You will be in the same position. It obeys vector commutation, addition of commutation, commutation in vector addition, okay. So that's why it is a vector quantity. Now do large displacements, okay. Now do large displacements. Do this displacement first, d theta 1, then do d theta 2, okay. So what was a d theta 1, like this, okay. This is a first rotation, then this is a second rotation. Now do the opposite, rotated d theta 2, then do the 1 you will not get the same position, okay. You will not get the same position. What was first one is like this, then second one was like this. Now do the opposite, do this, then do this, okay. I'm not doing able to do it because of my hand, okay. Then you do it with a notebook, do it with a notebook, rotate it, it won't be the same, okay. It won't be the same. That's why large angular displacement, large angular displacement, it is a scalar quantity, okay. Large angular displacement is a scalar quantity. Theta 1 plus theta 2, if you do theta 1 plus theta 2, it is not equal to theta 2 plus theta 1, okay. So we will not write vector sign. It is a large angular displacement is a scalar quantity, okay. If you will do theta 1 plus theta 2 vector, because we are following direction, it will not be equal to theta 2 done first and theta 1 done afterwards, okay. So this is a scalar quantity, okay. This is a scalar quantity. Now let's come to angular velocity. The rate at which this angle is changing, okay, the rate at which angular displacement is happening is called angular velocity. So angular velocity is defined as rate of change of angular position with respect to time, okay. So omega will be equal to angular displacement divided by time, okay. It will be equal to angular displacement divided by time. So if at t1 theta was equal to theta 1 and at t2 my angular displacement is theta 2, then my average angular velocity will be equal to change in angular displacement, okay, change in angular displacement or angular position divided by the time taken, okay. Omega average will be equal to d theta, change delta theta by delta t, okay. This will be equal to change in angular position by time taken. If at t1 my angular position was theta 1 and t2 angular position is theta 2, what will be omega theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by t2 minus t1, okay. And if we want to find instantaneous, now theta is a function of time, theta is a function of time, so it is changing at every position. If we want to find instantaneous at particular instant, then the time interval has to be so small that it becomes a particular instant. So we have instantaneous angular velocity, okay. Instantaneous angular velocity omega will be equal to d theta by dt, okay. Omega instantaneous will be equal to d theta by dt, okay. It will be equal to d theta by dt, clear. Small change in the angle divided by the small time taken. Now if theta is large. If we are taking average angular velocity, theta is a scalar, so it will be a scalar. But if you are finding instantaneous, it will be a vector quantity. Okay, it will be a vector quantity because d theta is small. Now how we give direction of omega is given by right hand thumb rule. Direction of omega is given by right hand thumb rule. Now what do my right hand thumb rule says? Rotate the fingers of right hand, okay, or curl the fingers of right hand. Curl the fingers of right hand in the sense of rotation of the particle. Okay, curl the fingers in the right hand in the sense of rotation of particle. Curl the fingers of the right hand in the sense of rotation of the particle. Then thumb will give us the direction of, okay, omega. Then thumb will give the direction. Then thumb will give the direction of omega. Okay, this is right hand thumb rule. Okay, if we curl the fingers of a right hand in the sense of rotation of particle, okay, if I have my particle rotating in this circle of some radius r like this, okay, now curl your fingers of your right hand, then thumb will give us the direction of omega. So omega will be out of the plane. Out of the plane. Okay, if this is rotating like this, then it will be into the plane. Into the plane. Okay, how we give the direction of omega? We give it by right hand thumb rule. Now what is my SI unit? SI unit of omega will be radian per second. Okay, it will be radian per second and its dimensions will be m0 l0 t raised to the power -1. Okay, these are my dimensions of omega. Now let us come to angular acceleration. If omega is also variable, earlier particle was rotating with 5 radian per second, now it is rotating with 8 radian per second. Okay, so if omega is changing, the rate of change of omega, okay, the rate of change of angular velocity gives us angular acceleration. So angular acceleration of an object undergoing circular motion is defined as the rate of change of angular velocity with time. Okay, rate of change of angular velocity with time. Now as we denote angular velocity by omega, we denote angular acceleration by alpha. Okay, we denote angular acceleration by alpha. So alpha will be equal to change in omega divided by time. So if at t1, if at time is equal to t1, omega is equal to omega 1. Okay, if at time t is equal to t1, omega is equal to omega 1, and time t2, omega is equal to omega 2, then the average angular acceleration, okay, then average angular acceleration will be omega 2 minus omega 1 divided by t2 minus t1. Okay, then my average angular acceleration will be omega 2 minus omega 1 divided by t2 minus t1. Okay, this will be my average angular acceleration, that is change in omega divided by change in time. Okay, delta omega by delta t. Now if we want to find instantaneous, angular acceleration, okay, if we are finding instantaneous angular acceleration for omega instantaneous, the time interval has to be very very small such that it is almost zero. So what we will get d omega by dt, okay, we will get instantaneous angular acceleration is d omega by dt. Now what it is? It is a vector quantity. It is a vector quantity. Now how to give its direction? Earlier particle was rotating with, like in this sense, with 3 radian per second, okay. This is my omega 1. So omega will be directed outwards. Now it changes to 5 radian per second. It changed to 5 radian per second. Direction of 5 radian per second will be also outwards. Do omega 2 minus omega 1, 5 minus 3, direction will be outwards. So if omega increases, okay, if omega increases, then alpha will be in the direction of omega, okay. Alpha is in the direction of omega, and if omega decreases, then alpha is in opposite direction to omega, okay. Alpha is in opposite direction to omega, okay. If angular velocity increases, direction of alpha and omega are same, and if angular velocity decreases, then alpha will be opposite to the direction of angular velocity, okay. Now what will be its SI unit? SI unit, it will be radian per second square, okay. It will be radian per second square, and its dimensions will be m0 l0 t minus 2, okay, and its dimensions will be m0 l0 t minus 2. These will be my dimensions. So now let us move to types, and then, okay, not types, we will be doing, okay, we will be doing relation between angular and yes. Now let us move to relation between linear and angular acceleration, okay. Now let us move to relation between linear and angular velocity. Velocity, we'll be doing velocity first. If we know the relation between velocity, then only we will be knowing the relation between acceleration, okay. So let us move to relation between linear and angular velocity. Linear and angular velocity. Suppose my particle is rotating in a circle, okay. My particle is rotating in a circle of radius r, okay. This is my center. Now in small time dt, okay, in small time dt, it swept an angle d theta, and this arc length, okay, and this arc length covered is ds. Arc length is ds. From this we know that d theta will be equal to ds by r. So from here we can write ds is equal to r d theta, okay. ds is equal to r d theta. Now in small time dt, okay, in time dt, this situation has happened. Particle changes from a to b in time dt. Now if we divide both sides by dt, then we will have like this. If we want to see rate of change, divide both sides by dt. Now what is dt? ds by dt, it is velocity, is equal to r d theta by dt, it is omega. So v is equal to r omega. Okay, v is equal to r omega. Now let us see if it is r dot omega, r cross omega, or omega cross r, what it is. ठीक है, let us see. Firstly, velocity is a vector, r is my position vector, omega is my angular velocity vector. So dot product of two vector yields a scalar, it means it is cross product only. Okay, so let us see, it is omega cross r or r cross omega. Now this will be my position vector. Yes, this will be my position vector of my particle, this will be my r vector. Okay, from O. How is velocity defined? Velocity is along the tangent to the path. Okay, velocity is along the tangent to the path. If my particle is moving like this, if my particle is moving like this, then how is omega? Omega is out of the plane. Okay, how we represent out of plane vector? We represent by a dot. Okay, so omega will be out of the plane. Now see here, once do r cross omega. So this is my r vector and this outwards is my omega vector. Now extend it. Okay, or extend it further, or you can apply it over here only, here also. This is my r vector, this is my omega vector. Do omega cross r, is it giving velocity? Do r cross omega, it is giving opposite to velocity. Okay, so in vector form, okay, in vector form, velocity is equal to omega cross r. Okay, velocity is equal to omega cross r. How we checked it? Check it. Omega to r. Rotate your fingers from omega to r. Velocity will be equal to omega cross r. Okay, in vector form, velocity is equal to omega cross r. This is the relation between velocity vector and angular velocity. Okay, linear velocity and angular velocity. Now see, omega is along out of the page, r is along this vector. Okay, r lies in the plane, omega is out of the plane. What is angle between omega and r? Angle between omega and r, 90 degree. Now we know that cross product of two vector yields a third vector which is perpendicular to both the vectors. See, velocity will be perpendicular to omega. Yes, it is perpendicular to omega. Omega is out of the page, velocity is also, velocity is perpendicular to r, tangent is perpendicular to radius, r is along the radius vector, velocity is along the tangent. So at every point v will be perpendicular to r as well as omega. Okay, now let us do the relation between linear and angular acceleration. Relation between linear and angular acceleration, we know that v is equal to omega cross r. Differentiate both sides with respect to time. Differentiate both sides with respect to time. Now if we differentiate both sides with respect to time, this will become dv by dt is equal to d omega by dt cross r plus, how to differentiate multiplication of two vectors? Differentiate first, keep second as it is. Now keep first as it is and differentiate the second. So dv by dt is my acceleration. Rate of change of velocity vector is acceleration, is equal to, what is d omega by dt? It is alpha cross r plus omega cross rate of change of position vector, this is my velocity vector. So we have that acceleration is equal to alpha cross r plus omega cross v. So there are two components, okay? There are two components of the acceleration vector. Acceleration vector is a sum of two vectors. That's why we named one as the tangential vector and other as the centripetal vector. Why tangential and why centripetal, we will know. So this is called AT and this is called AC, okay? So acceleration, total acceleration is a sum of two accelerations, AT and AC, okay? Total acceleration is a sum of two accelerations, AT and AC. Now let us see what is AT, what is AC. Centripetal acceleration. So what was AC? Centripetal acceleration is equal to omega cross V, okay? Centripetal acceleration is equal to omega cross V. Now if my particle is rotating in a circle, this will be my R, okay? How is velocity defined? This is my velocity. Omega will be along out of the page, okay? If it is moving like this, omega is dot, okay? Omega will be out of the page. Now draw it out of the page. Now do omega cross V. How to take cross product? Curl your fingers from A to B, then we will get, thumb will give us the direction of A cross B. So this is my omega, this is my V. Curl your fingers from omega to V. What we will get? We will get a vector towards the center, okay? We will get a vector towards the center. This is my AC vector. Now do the same from for here. This will be my velocity vector. Omega is outwards only. So curl your fingers from omega to V. From omega to V, we get a vector like this, okay? This is my centripetal acceleration. If we want to find it here, this is my centripetal acceleration here. This will be my centripetal acceleration. So at every point on the circle, this omega cross V is along the radius directed towards the center. Okay, so direction of omega cross V, that is direction of centripetal acceleration, is radially inwards, okay? Direction is radially inwards. That's why we have the name centripetal acceleration, the one which is acting towards the center, okay? It is radially inwards, that is towards the center. That's why we have the name centripetal acceleration. Now let us find magnitude. AC will be equal to omega into V into sine of angle between them. What is the angle between velocity and omega? Angle between velocity and omega is 90 degrees. So it will be sine of 90 degree. Centripetal acceleration will be equal to omega V. Centripetal acceleration will be equal to omega into V. Now we know that V is equal to omega into R. So from here, centripetal acceleration will become omega into omega R. So centripetal acceleration will be omega square R. Also we can write omega is equal to V by R. So centripetal acceleration will be V by R into V. So centripetal acceleration will be V square by R. Centripetal acceleration is given by omega V, omega square R, or V square by R, okay? All these are the magnitudes of centripetal acceleration. Now see, centripetal acceleration is always perpendicular to velocity vector. Okay, centripetal acceleration is always perpendicular to velocity vector because it is acting toward the center. Now if my particle is moving in this direction and acceleration is in this direction, this acceleration will not change the magnitude of particle because only the component of acceleration in the direction of velocity will change the magnitude of velocity. So centripetal acceleration does not change the speed of the particle. Okay, it doesn't changes the speed of the particle because it is perpendicular to velocity. Okay, it is responsible for change in direction of velocity. Okay, it is responsible for change in direction of velocity. It is responsible for change in direction of velocity. If velocity in this direction, see, when the particle is moving on circle, velocity is like this, then this, then this. Every point, direction of velocity is changing. So if there is no force towards the center, what will happen? Particle will keep on moving along this tangent. We are applying a force towards the center. We are attracting it towards the center, so it bends a little here. Then again we attract, so it bends a little more. Again we attract, it bends a little more. Again, so this acceleration is responsible for change in the direction of velocity. Okay, it is responsible for change in direction of velocity. Now let us move to tangential acceleration. So what was my tangential acceleration? There were two components of centripetal or of total acceleration. One was omega cross v and other was alpha cross r. So this omega cross v is the centripetal one. Now let us do the other component, which is equal to alpha cross r. Okay, let us do the other component, which is equal to alpha cross r. Okay, alpha cross r. Now if angular velocity is increasing, then alpha is in the direction of omega. Okay, this is my r vector. If particle is moving like this and omega is increasing, so omega is increasing. So alpha will be in the direction of omega, that is vertically outwards. Okay, out of the page. It will be out of the page. Now this is my position vector. This is my alpha vector. Do alpha cross r. Do alpha cross r. Do it over here. This is my r vector. This is my r vector. This is my alpha vector. Alpha cross r. We will get AT along this direction. Okay, we will get AT along this direction. Similarly, if you do it here, do it alpha cross r. Okay, curl the fingers of your right hand from alpha to r. Okay, from alpha to r. So this is my alpha. We have to curl it from alpha to r. R vector will be radially outwards like this. Okay, alpha to r, it is along this. Okay, AT will be along this tangent. Now at this point it will be along this. So at every point it is acting tangential to the path. That's why the name tangential acceleration. Okay, acts along the tangent to the circular path. Okay, it acts along the tangent to the circular path. That's why we call it tangential acceleration. That's why we call it tangential acceleration. Now AT magnitude will be equal to alpha into r into sine. What is angle between alpha and r? Alpha is out of the page, it is radially. Angle is 90 degrees, so sine 90. Simply we have AT will be equal to alpha r. Okay, we have AT is equal to alpha into r. AT will be equal to alpha into r. Now we know that V is equal to r omega in magnitude. If we differentiate it, dv by dt will become d by dt of r omega. R magnitude of r, in magnitude we are writing, okay, in magnitude we are writing, r is constant in magnitude, so this will become dv by dt is equal to r into d omega by dt. So from here dv by dt will become alpha into r. This will become alpha into r AT. Now what is dv by dt? It is rate of change of magnitude of velocity. What is magnitude of velocity? Speed. So what is AT? It is rate of change of speed of the particle. Okay, rate of change of speed of the particle. Rate of change of speed of the particle. So rate of change of magnitude of velocity is tangential acceleration. Rate of change of direction in the velocity, okay, direction of velocity was centripetal. Due to change in direction we have a centripetal acceleration. Due to change in speed we have tangential acceleration. Now AT is also along the tangent to the path, plus if we draw the velocity it will be also along the tangent. So AT and V are parallel to each other, okay, AT and V are parallel to each other. AT is parallel to velocity vector. Any acceleration in the direction of velocity will change its speed. So AT is responsible for change in speed of the particle. Okay, it is responsible for change in speed of the particle. It is responsible for change in speed of the particle, and it acts along the tangent, Now what will be my net acceleration? Okay, what will be my net acceleration if we have a circular path like this? Okay, then my particle is at here. It is having a component of acceleration towards the center, which we called centripetal acceleration, and it is having a component of the acceleration along the tangent. Okay, it is having acceleration component along the tangent, which we call tangential acceleration. Now what will be my net? Net acceleration is equal to vector sum of the two acceleration. So this will be my total acceleration. Okay, this will be my total acceleration. Total acceleration is the sum of AC plus AT. Okay, total acceleration is the sum of AC plus AT. So what will be my magnitude of total acceleration? It will be under the root of AC square plus AT square plus 2AC AT cos of 90 degree. Angle between them is 90 degree. One is along the tangent, one is along the towards the center. So total acceleration is equal to under the root of AC square plus AT square. Okay, total acceleration is equal to under the root of AC square plus AT square. Now what angle it will make? What angle it will make? If this angle is beta, okay, if this angle is beta, now take tan beta. What angle this total acceleration will make with the radius vector? Let us find. tan of beta, it will be equal to AT by AC. Okay, it will be equal to AT by AC. So this is the angle which the total acceleration will make with the radius vector. Okay, tan beta. This is all about tangential acceleration, centripetal acceleration, total acceleration of the particle moving in a circular path. Now let us do the types of motion, circular motion, on the basis of this. First comes is uniform circular motion. Okay, now we have circular motion. Now we have circular motion. Circular motion can be of two types, uniform as well as non-uniform. Okay, circular motion is of two types, uniform circular motion or non-uniform circular motion. Non-uniform circular motion. Now further the non-uniform circular, if uniform it is constant omega, then not constant we have non-uniform circular motion. Non-uniform circular motion is further of two types, uniformly accelerated, uniformly accelerated circular motion and non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, and non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, we have uniformly accelerated circular motion and non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Now let us do the uniform circular motion first. So in uniform circular motion, in uniform circular motion, uniform circular motion, the name only suggests it is having uniformity. Okay, it is having uniformity. So uniform circular motion, omega will be a constant. Okay, whenever a particle rotates, okay, whenever a particle rotates with constant angular velocity, whenever particle rotates with constant angular velocity, then it is called uniform circular motion. If uniform circular motion, alpha will be equal to d omega by dt, so alpha will be 0, no acceleration. Okay, omega is a constant, there is no acceleration. First point, if my particle rotates with constant angular velocity, then its motion is called uniform circular motion. So for uniform circular motion, alpha will be 0 vector. Alpha is 0, what will be my AT? AT will be equal to alpha r, AT will be 0, that is dv by dt is 0, which means v is constant, so speed will be constant. Okay, speed will be constant, that is speed is constant. Okay, uniform circular motion, what is constant? Angular velocity is constant and speed is constant. However, what will be my acceleration then? Acceleration is AC plus AT. So total acceleration will be equal to centripetal acceleration only. Okay, however, I told you earlier only, even if speed is changing or not changing, direction of velocity is changing, so there will be some acceleration. Okay, there will be some acceleration which is centripetal acceleration. How much? So acceleration will be equal to v square by r or omega square into r. centripetal acceleration will be still acting. See, centripetal acceleration is a necessity for circular motion. We need to pull the body towards the center, then only it will move a little bit down, it will take a curve, otherwise it will fly off along the tangent. Okay, so centripetal acceleration is a necessity to particle, for the particle to move in a circular path. Okay, centripetal acceleration will be present, which will be a constant. Okay, a constant centripetal acceleration will be present. So uniform circular motion is an accelerated motion. Okay, it is an accelerated motion. So this is uniform circular motion. Now we have non-uniform. For non-uniform circular motion, what we have, omega is not constant. Omega is not constant, so alpha will not be, omega is not a constant, so alpha will not be a zero vector. Okay, alpha will not be a null vector. There will be some alpha present, hence tangential acceleration will be present, hence speed will be changing. Okay, speed will be changing. If we have non-uniform angular acceleration, then what we will be having? We will be having time dependent things. We will be having time dependent things. Okay, so how we will calculate omega? We will calculate omega will be equal to d theta by dt. Similarly, d theta will be equal to omega dt. D theta will be equal to omega dt. If we want to find total change, okay, if we want to find total change, so delta theta, okay, or theta will be equal to delta theta, change in omega will be equal to integration of omega dt. Okay, it will be equal to change in, let us do it in a more broad way. Okay, let us do it in a more broad way. Integrate both sides, we will get omega dt. If at time t1 theta was theta 1, at time t2 theta is theta 2. So delta theta, which is equal to theta 2 minus theta 1. Okay, theta 2 minus theta 1 will be integration of omega dt from t1 to t2. Okay, integration of omega dt from t1 to t2. So this will be the total angular displacement. This is how we will calculate total angular displacement in non-uniform case. In non-uniform case, theta can be time dependent, omega can be time dependent. Okay, omega is changing. Omega is changing with time. It is time dependent. We don't know how it is dependent on time. So whether it is however it is given, we can calculate it using integration only. Okay. Next we have alpha will be equal to d omega by dt. Okay, omega will be equal to d theta by dt and alpha will be equal to d omega by dt. So from here d omega will be alpha dt. Okay, it will be alpha dt. So if at time t1, if at time t1 omega is omega 1, time t2 omega is omega 2. So from here omega 2 minus omega 1 will be integration of t1 to t2 alpha dt. Okay, so this will give us the change in angular velocity. Okay, this will give us the change in angular velocity. Okay, change in angular velocity is integration of alpha dt. And one more, if omega is varying with theta, we are not given variation of omega with time, we are given variation of omega with theta. So d omega is equal to alpha is equal to d omega by dt, multiply and divided by d theta. Multiply and divide by d theta. This will become d omega by d theta into d theta by dt. What is d theta by dt? Alpha will be equal to omega into d omega by d theta. So this will be the third relation. Okay, this will be our third relation. From here we can have omega d omega is equal to integration of omega into d omega is equal to integration of alpha d theta. Okay, from this we can have this equation. So this is the case of non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, so in non-uniform, omega is not a constant, it will be variable. We can calculate the parameters depending how it is depending on time or angular position. Now let us do uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, we are having alpha. In non-uniform we are having alpha. If alpha is a constant, we have uniform acceleration, angular acceleration. If alpha is a not constant, we have variable angular acceleration. So we have two types of non-uniform motion, that is when alpha is a constant. When alpha is a constant, we have uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, alpha will be a constant. Now if alpha is a constant, see, we have omega will be equal to d theta by dt. Okay, so from here we can have it as, or let us take alpha, let us write it for alpha only. Alpha is equal to d omega by dt. Now see, d omega will be equal to alpha dt. Integrate both sides. D omega is integration of alpha dt. So if at time t, or if at time t is equal to 0, initially there was 0 angular velocity. At time t, angular velocity is omega. Alpha is a constant, it will come out, it will become integration of dt from 0 to t. Perform this integration, we will get omega is equal to 0 plus alpha t. Okay, omega will be equal to alpha t. Now we will derive this using equations, integration equations only, because it is non-uniform case. We are given the dependence that alpha is constant. Now we can integrate it. Suppose let us take that if at t is equal to 0, my omega is not 0. For 0, omega will be equal to alpha t. But what if it is not 0? It is equal to omega naught. What we will have? Omega minus omega naught is equal to alpha t. So omega will be equal to omega naught plus alpha t. So from here we get our first equation of uniformly accelerated motion. Similarly, if we write the equation that theta will be equal to, or omega is equal to d theta by dt. If we write the equation omega is equal to d theta by dt, what is omega? Omega naught plus alpha t is equal to d theta by dt. So from here we will get d theta is equal to omega naught plus alpha t dt. Now integrate both sides. If at t is equal to 0, my angular displacement is 0. At time t, angular displacement is theta. So from here we will get theta is equal to omega naught t plus half alpha t square. This is our second equation. Similarly, we can derive the third equation. So for uniformly accelerated, we have three equations. Omega will be equal to omega naught plus alpha t, where omega naught is the angular velocity at time t is equal to 0. Then angular displacement will be equal to omega naught t plus half alpha t square. Similarly, third equation is omega square minus omega naught square is equal to 2 alpha theta, and theta nth, okay, theta nth, angular displacement in the nth second. This is equal to, what we have is omega naught plus alpha by 2 into 2n minus 1. Okay, now see, all these formulas are just similar to the formulas for linear motion. Okay, all these formulas are just similar to the formula for linear motion. V is equal to U plus AT, S is equal to UT plus half AT square. Similarly, V square minus U square is 2AS and theta nth. Okay, so this is our case for uniformly accelerated circular motion. Now let us come to vertical circular motion. Now what is vertical circular motion? If my particle is moving in a vertical plane, okay, if my circular motion is not in the horizontal, now it is in the vertical plane. If we are rotating a particle like this, okay, if we are rotating it like this, then it will be vertical circular motion. Now see, at every point of my particle, mg force will be acting downwards. Every point of my particle, mg force is acting downwards. Sorry. Due to this mg force, what will happen? A component of this mg, this is my mg force acting vertically downwards, resolve it into two components. Velocity will be along the tangent, and this component of mg is opposing the velocity, so it is non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, it is having some tangential acceleration. Okay, it is non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, it is non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Speed will change. Okay, speed will change. So if we are having a body rotating in a vertical plane, mg will be acting at every point, so its speed will change, tangential acceleration will be present, and it will be a non-uniformly accelerated circular motion. Okay, now let us see what will happen. So if we tie a bob to a string of length L, okay, if we tie a bob to a string of length L and we impart some u velocity to it, okay, we give some u speed or u velocity to it. Okay, bob was tied and we hit it with some, okay, so that we give a initial velocity to the particle. What will happen? It will move up. Okay, it will move on a circular path like this. Now there are many conditions depending on the what velocity we are given. Okay, first condition is if u is less than, or let us write, first we should write what is the velocity at any angle theta. Okay, velocity at any angle theta. Velocity at any angle theta. Now the particle has moved to this position such that theta is the angle it has covered, and its velocity will be along the tangent to the path. Forces acting on this particle will be mg vertically downwards, tension T in the string towards the center, and resolving the velocity into mg into two components. If this is theta, then this angle will also be theta. So here we will be having mg cos theta, here we will be having mg sin theta. Now mg sin theta is decreasing its speed, and mg cos theta and tension, the net of the two will provide us the net centripetal force. Okay, net of the two will provide us the net centripetal force. Now see, velocity at any angle theta, v square will come out to be u square minus 2gl into 1 minus cos theta. You can also find it by energy conservation, or you can find it by work energy theorem, both. Okay, so v at any angle theta, velocity at any angle theta is u square minus 2gl into 1 minus cos theta under root. This is our velocity at any angle theta. Now similarly, if we write tension at any angle theta, tension at any angle theta. This T tension in the string. What will be my tension in the string at any angle theta? So my tension in the string at any angle theta will be mu square by L minus 2 mg plus 3 mg cos theta. Okay, tension at any angle is mu square by L minus 2 mg plus 3 mg cos theta. Okay, this will be my tension at any angle theta. Now, depending what velocity we have given to this particle at the bottommost point or initial point, it will execute different types of motion. Okay, first, if we gave a velocity u less than or equal to under root 2gl. Okay, if we gave a velocity u less than or equal to under root 2gl. Now, we give some velocity u which is less, okay, then under root 2gl. What will happen? It will go up to some point, then its velocity will become 0 and it will come back. It will go to this point and come back. What will happen? It will oscillate. Okay, it will oscillate about its mean position. It will oscillate about its mean position. Okay, it will oscillate about its mean position. Then second case, if we gave a velocity greater than under root 2gl. Okay, if we gave a velocity greater than under root 2gl but less than under root 5gl. Okay, now what is L? L is the length of the string. Okay, if we give a velocity greater than under root 2gl but less than under root 5gl, what will happen? It will move up. Velocity is enough to take the particle to the topmost point, but tension will become in between 0, string will slacken down and particle will execute projectile motion. Okay, velocity is enough to take the particle, velocity is enough to take the particle to topmost point, but tension becomes 0 in between. Okay, but tension will become 0 in between that. So string will slacken down. If my tension becomes 0, what will happen? String will slacken down. If string slackens down, what will happen? It is having some velocity, but there is no inward force. String is slackened, particle will fall off like this. Okay, string will slacken down, therefore particle will execute projectile motion. Okay, particle will execute projectile motion. Now next case, if we gave a velocity greater than or equal to under root 5gl. Okay, if we gave a velocity greater than or equal to under root 5gl, what will happen? Particle will execute circular motion. Okay, from here we gave a velocity u is equal to under root 5gl. Particle will complete its vertical circular motion. Okay, particle at no point tension will become 0. If we give velocity under root 5gl, then tension will become 0 at the topmost point. This is the called critical velocity. Okay, then tension will not become 0 in between any point, so it will complete its vertical circular motion. Particle will undergo vertical circular motion. Particle will undergo vertical circular motion. Okay, particle will undergo vertical circular motion. Now let us name 2 points A and this topmost point B. Okay, at B it is having some speed V. Okay, at B it is having some speed V. Now draw the forces. Mg is acting downwards. Here also Mg is acting downwards. Okay, here tension T will be acting upwards towards the string, and here tension T will be acting downwards towards the string. So if we want to find at A, okay, for at A, if we are writing at A, what will happen? T minus mg. Okay, this is my TA and this is my TB, tension at B. Okay, what will happen? Tension at A, TA minus mg is equal to the net centripetal force mu square by L. So tension at A will be mg plus mu square by L. Okay, tension at A will be mg plus mu square by L. Similarly, if we write it for B, tension at B, we will be having TB plus mg is equal to the net centripetal force mv square by L. So from here we will get that TB is equal to mv square by L minus mg. Okay, we will have TB will be equal to mv square by L minus mg. So this will be our tension at A and tension at B. Now you can clearly see that tension at A is mg plus the centripetal force. Also speed will be maximum at the bottommost point. So this will be maximum tension. Okay, tension will be maximum at A and tension will be minimum at B. This will be minimum tension. Tension at B will be minimum. Okay, because it is mv square by L minus mg. As we move up, speed will decrease. Speed is also minimum at B, so TB will be minimum. Similarly, speed is maximum at A, so TA will be maximum. This is about vertical circular motion. Okay, so this is all about the chapter circular motion. But if we have in vertical circular motion only, now this is the case when we are having variable speed. Okay, now see, if we are making the particle move forcefully with a constant speed, if we are making the particle move forcefully with a constant speed such that we are applying more force on the string. Okay, we are applying more force on, we are pulling it more and more towards the center, then we are providing more acceleration. Okay, more centripetal acceleration. So what will happen? Speed will same. Okay, speed will be same, it will not decrease if we are applying more force towards the center, such that to make it forcefully move in a complete circular motion with a constant speed, then such a vertical circular motion is called uniform vertical circular motion. In this, speed is constant. Okay, in this, speed will be constant. So if we are having the particle at A or B, okay, if we are having the particle at A or B, this was my A and this was my B. Speed is same. At A also it is having u speed, or let us take v speed. At A it is having v speed, and at B also it is having v speed. Now what will be my tension at A and tension at B? Here it is TA, here it is TB. Now draw the mg forces. Mg will be vertically downwards, mg will be vertically downwards. Now for A, at A, write it down. At A, what will happen? TA minus mg is equal to mv square by L. Okay, so this TA will be equal to mv square by L plus mg. This will be my maximum tension. This will be my maximum tension. Similarly, if we write at B what we have? TB plus mg will be equal to mv square by L only, because we are having the same speed. So TB will be equal to mv square by L minus mg. This will be the minimum tension. Okay, this will be the minimum tension. This will be the minimum tension. Now if we add these two equations, okay, if we add these two equations, name it as equation number 1 and equation number 2. Now if we add 1 and 2, TA minus mg plus TB plus mg, TA minus mg plus TB plus mg is equal to mv square by L plus mv square by L. Okay, mg will get cancelled. TA minus TA plus TB will be equal to 2mv square by L. Okay, TA plus TB will be equal to 2mv square by L. So we will have T maximum plus T minimum is equal to 2mv square by L. Okay, T maximum plus T minimum is equal to 2mv square by L. Now subtract these two equations. Subtract it, 1 minus 2. Okay, so we will have TA minus mg minus TB minus mg will be equal to mv square by L minus mv square by L. Now this will get cancelled. What will happen? TA minus TB minus 2mg will be equal to 0. So TA is the T maximum, TA is the T maximum part. So T maximum minus T minimum is equal to 2mg. Okay, T maximum minus T minimum is equal to 2mg. These are the equations for uniform vertical circular motion. Okay, uniform vertical circular motion, that is, speed will remain constant at every point. Okay, speed will remain constant at every point. So this is all about the chapter circular motion. We have done it in a quite detail only in this recap video also. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful for you. Okay, so keep studying, keep rocking, always keep shining. Okay, take care and goodbye. Thank you.